Hello. Welcome, everyone. We are going to get right into the coaching blog so you guys can catch this again later if you need to, and you don't have to wait for the recording. Hope you guys are having a great start to your Wednesday. I should say start. We are well underway in our Wednesday. All right. So this is now going to go in the coaching blog as well. All right, everyone. So welcome. I hope you are having a good start to your week, your first week of 2024. And a couple of us, a good number of us actually yesterday were together when we were doing accountability and goal setting. And today what we're going to do is we're going to really kick off this new year right with some habit. And I wanted to kind of, before we go any further, do a little bit of validation, like why are we listening to Nick? This is the end of your stats for 2023 for EXIT in Illinois. You guys know I am basically a part-time agent. I work with and with guys the vast majority of the day, week, month, year. And then the rest of the time I get to work with my own database of friends and VIPs and past clients. So I ended the year, unfortunately, #1 in Illinois. I'm not happy with that. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not happy with that. I don't want to be #1. I want someone else to be #1. I want to be way down on this list. So my mission this year is to get you guys into these habits that have worked for me. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I'm going to ask you guys to mute yourselves, please, if you're not already muted. Thank you so much. We will absolutely have time for questions and conversation later. Why we are here today, I kind of tricked you to get you in the room to talk about expireds because it is time to talk about expireds. But overall, it's time to talk about habit. It is time to talk about habit. And what I just sent you earlier, a couple minutes ago in your email, it's not the daily dose. There's a second link that I just sent you. It is called Project X Resources. And I want to go in there right now and show you what's in that link. You can hopefully see my screen. I just added a bunch of stuff in there for you and reorganized it a little bit. And what that is this is, I mean, basically 25 years of what I've learned in the business, scripts, dialogues, marketing materials from Amanda. We have compiled so much data and information and ideas and resources for you in one giant, hopefully decently organized folder that will play right along into, if you're following along in the coaching blog and you're looking at those guides, these all work together. They're all a compilation of what we've learned, what we know, and how we're going to continue to grow. And so what I wanted to encourage you guys to do today is, as we start to work on specifically these daily habits, one of which is expireds, canceled, FSBOs. We're going to talk a lot more in depth about that in just a moment. But if we can all get on the same page that we know what we need to do and we just actually have to execute on it, we will be incredibly powerful as an office. You guys had a pretty darn decent year last year considering what we all went through as a market. But what I want to take moving forward with you is there is no more time for excuses of I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, I don't know how it should look. We have so many technology tools and resources at our company, and so many specifically at our office things through Project X for you. And I want to walk you through a couple of those right now before we get into the expired, canceled FSBO conversation. So this is #1. You've got scripts. Some people really like to follow a script. I will tell you, I don't like scripts personally. I believe that every conversation and every relationship and every situation is different. However, I realize that not everybody feels that way. So I've shared with you some of the best scripts I've found over the years through Tom Ferry, through Brian Buffini, through the core training, all these different things. I've spent over $150,000 of training. A lot of that was core, over $100,000 to graduate from core level 3. But I got to tell you, it was all worth it. And I'm giving that all to you, not to be passed on to third parties, but it is for us. And that's a benefit of you being here. So if you are going to do expireds or FSBOs and you're like, well, what do I say? Here are the scripts for you right in the resources under the scripts folder. Okay, you've got some scripts. Well, what is the benefit of working with us? How do you do a drip campaign if you're going to work with sellers? Well, I'm glad you asked, because right in here under the seller drip campaign assets folder, oh wow, there's a lot. There's PDFs, there's JPEGs, there's videos, there's all different kind of things you can use as is, plug and play. I don't care whether you're texting them, calling people, printing them out and sending them in direct mail. I'm kind of over the micromanagement of how do I do it? Just start doing it by whatever means you can, because life is a contact sport. It is a relationship business that we are in, and we have to get out there and start doing. Stop waiting for perfection. Perfection will never happen. None of us are walking on water the last time I checked. But what I did want to do for each one of us today was say, okay, nothing's going to be perfect. Everyone's got their own spin or angle or feel to the way they conduct their business. But look at this, guys. This should look familiar to some of you that have been here a while. I've been building this for years and years with you. And this is how I built my business, was doing drip campaigns. So I've got a seller drip campaign grid that you can download for yourself. You can edit for yourself. But all it is these different pieces that either you need to do as an action item, or you can send to them as an action item. And all of those pieces are, again, right here in the seller drip campaign asset folder. Then I said, okay, well, that's great for like just plug and play pieces. What if they want to do some more customization to things? Oh, well, don't worry. This is not a one-man show. This is a team effort. And so we have the longest standing staff in the entire Chicagoland marketplace, including our graphic designer, Amanda. And I said to Amanda quite a while ago, I said, can you start compiling the assets that you put together for people so that we can start getting an idea library out there? So people can say, okay, well, what do I want? I mentioned to you in that little drip campaign as I was scrolling through quickly. I know I'm going to go fast today, guys, because I want us to get through it and then execute on it. But one of those seller drip campaign things was reviews. Don't you want to advertise your reviews to sellers and say, hey, I'm a good agent. Why should you actually talk to me since your expired listing didn't sell with someone else? Well, we've got samples of reviews right in here that Amanda has built out for you. So you can see a great sample of what maybe a year in review, maybe a client review. So again, Amanda's building all these things out. If you don't want to work with Amanda, even though I pay for her services, you can go in Canva and do it on your own. I really don't care. What I do care about is that you start every day touching more people than you did in the past. We are not going to go over everyone's numbers today. I just had to flash mine at the top of the screen to validate. This is going to be a public video. There will be what we call the after party afterwards, that we will stop the recording. And then obviously we can have a discussion as an office. But I do want some outside folks. If we are getting to anybody that's seeing this later on and saying, well, that's not what my office has, we don't have that. This is the type of thing that we have here. It's building a library of not just my stuff over the last 25 years as a allegedly top agent, but the resources and the ideas of other agents at our office, the mastermind we've created. So all of this is right here in this Project X resource library. But what we are specifically here today to talk about, and again, we're going to have an off the recording portion of this, our little after show, where we can talk a little bit more specifically about certain situations. But take a look at this. So this is new today. This is the Project X Expand Power Hour Tracker. This is in my vision board and my dreams. What I'd love for us to get to is that every single one of you can just literally open up your computer, your laptop. You can come into one of our offices. You can do this on your own at home, but you can truly create within an hour or 2 hours a lot more wealth than you had before, a lot more contacts, a lot more relationships. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by having a conversation with a combination of Mets and haven't Mets. You all know that I'm a fan of Brian Buffini, graduate of his of Core Level 3 as well. All of those programs are talking about METs. So I've got all these different ideas for you, some of which you contributed to. Maybe you'll have your own, and we'll continue to build on this template. But this template is here for you right in the Project X resource library. So you can print this out, and every day you can go in and you can literally decide, what do you need to do today? Not only though to METs, because that is my criticism of most of these programs, the coaching programs. They are so focused on METs. What about all of us, not just some of us, all of us, that because of the way the market has shifted the past 2 years, we can't depend on just that only that database. That database is our gold mine, but you know who else is gold, or at least maybe silver and some good copper? The people out there that we don't know yet, that haven't met. And so that is what we're here to talk about today, is expireds, canceled, FSBOs, starting those conversations with them. And if you're not tracking, you're slacking. We know that. You know, that's one of my little sayings. But what we really want you to think about today is, as you print this out, and I have 2 versions of this. I have a template in a Google Sheet that when you start to actually put that together and you say, okay, there's a number, and then there's another number, those go to physically, those will add up for you. So I actually have to go back in here and just do one thing, because I deleted something earlier. That. And then when you add those numbers up, those actually add up in the actual template. Now I've got to go back one more step here, because I have a version of this that is actually fills it in for you. So let me get that for you. We've got to go into my versions, because I created a version of this that is a PDF. So for those of you that like paper, guess what? There's now a paper version of it as well that you can print out. Now, obviously, all of these are going to need a little bit of work, and you can edit them and change them over time for yourself. But these templates, I want you to be able to go in here and start tracking day by day what you are doing. And so that we can walk into any of our offices during a power hour, or you can follow along at home, and you know what we should be doing. We all know what we should be doing, right? Yes, we do. I fully believe that at this point, after all these years of training and coaching and working together, and from listening to your feedback, the vast majority of you said what? Not that you need to learn how to do something, it's that you need to implement. And you're obviously going to refine over time. None of us know everything, but we're going to refine over time. We have all these different tools like ZenList, like Wise Agent, like RPR, which everyone in the industry has. They just don't know how to use it. But all of these different resources we have for you, and that some of these even other realtors have, look at all the different things you can start touching people with. But today's focus, out of all of this, and I know this is kind of like a lot of things to absorb, and then we're going to focus, can narrow down into one. Today we're going to talk about expireds and FSBOs. Why are we doing it now? Well, guess what? What a perfect time to be having a conversation about expireds, because guess what just expired? A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So for those of you that were on accountability and goal setting yesterday, you will have seen that conversation about expireds, which spurred on this actual training today. So our training always is adjusting with the conversation and the needs within the office. So today I'm looking at, just since yesterday, there were 5 expireds in my little area. But every day, as a part of your daily habits, and let's go back to that template for 1 second. Every day, as part of your daily habits, you've got birthdays, housing anniversaries, those forward conversations. You know, I've talked to you many times about having LinkedIn open, having Facebook open, and having your Wise Agent open. 3 screens, that's all you need to sit there and start cleaning up the people that you've already met and building relationships and going, what, 50% deeper with them. But we also need to go 50% wider. And so these new relationships that we're going to be talking about here in a moment, there's so many of them that can be happening on a daily basis. You've just got to begin. And so you can create a little hot sheet for yourself, that market activity. You can customize that view at any point. If you've not done that before, that is an MLS feature. So you can go in and you can play with that. You can also just go in under the search feature, a general search, and go cross property all, because quite frankly, all listings that have expired are something you might want, wouldn't you? So cross property all, you can go back and just say expired. You can save this as a search for yourself, but obviously I'm not even gonna go back. You can go back a month. There's a lot of them that have expired. 2,591. Realistically, am I going to do all that work? Probably not. I could go back just a few days. I could start targeting a specific area, maybe the area around my house, but I want to create a habit though that moving forward, you've got two opportunities here. Number one, right now, is to go back the last month. You could go back 6 months, and as long as they haven't been relisted and
Okay, now let me figure out this right now.
You don't cook. I did not just say that.
hi, whoever that is, could you please mute yourself? Thank you so much. All right, so you've got two opportunities here, guys. Opportunity number one is to go back to everything that didn't sell this year. This was a terrible year in real estate for a lot of folks. I am very empathetic to people that had a rough year. Sales over the last 2 years, from 2021 to the end of 2023, are down 50% in units, 50% in units. And the prices have not skyrocketed or dropped significantly either in our market. So we are in that stagnant market we've talked about. So there are people that have not sold. And what happens right at the end of the year? I have lived every time that I got slow in real estate over the last 25 years, I went back to the basics of FSBOs, expireds, and open houses. And expireds and canceleds, especially, were my jam, because FSBOs, you know, those are really tough because they didn't want a realtor. They're trying to avoid paying the fee of a realtor. They specifically went around us. Whereas an expired or canceled, they A, wanted to sell. B, were willing to use a realtor and pay for it. So guess what? You should pick up the phone and find out as much as you can about them and start flooding them with these pieces from the drip campaigns. So if we go back just to my neighborhood over the last month, there's 37 things that have expired. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has expired. You know, here's a $3 million building. There is another building. There's luxury single family homes. There is stuff that is $42,000. You know what? I would take a parking space listing. Last year, one of my 29 or 28 transactions was a parking space, and I was grateful to sell that parking space, and I got a great Zillow review out of that, which will spur on more deals for me. You need to take every deal that can come your way that is a relationship you can build on, because you never know who's going to buy something from you or sell something with you now that's small and will meet someone else that is large. You know, it's not about the price, it's about the relationship. So expired listings are such a great opportunity. Now, there is going to be a portion of this training that we're going to do after we turn the recording off. And that is just going to be a piece of finding a little bit more information on these folks. We can't give out specific information about people, email addresses, cell phone numbers, etc., through a YouTube. And I do want this YouTube to be public so we can have some friends see it. But that being said, you have an opportunity not only in the past tense to go back to what hasn't sold over the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, but also to going forward, creating that habit for yourself so that you have every day the opportunity to come in here and go, okay, market activity, what's going on? And you'll see that over the last couple months, it went from 0 expired and 1 expired. You know, if you were on a lot of my trainings, I'm always sharing my screen. And all of a sudden now I'm seeing 2 a day, 3 a day. Maybe there'll be days that there's not a lot. But realistically, the way that I'm asking you to work these leads, because these are leads, expireds, FSBOs, cancels, because what's a cancel? That's somebody that took their home off the market. They got to make sure it's not back on the market again, because remember, if it goes back on the market by the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics, you can't solicit that listing, period. No gray area to that. You can't. So you got to make sure it's not back on the market. But if something canceled, that is something that you might want to go after. If it's not realistic, say, hey, why'd you cancel? I think I can help you. And one of the biggest ways you can help them is obviously giving them a little bit more information on what makes you special and different, which is all in these Project X templates, all in these Project X seller drip campaign, all the different things, the assets in there for you. So I really want you to explore that after this session. But this session is designed to specifically hone in on, it's not about what's the content, it is about the activity. Stop waiting for perfection. Perfection will never come. It is the activity of doing. If I do an open house and it's not the best open house, but I get people in the door and then I follow up and I build a relationship. Let's go back into our resources here and let's talk about this new buyer checklist. So if I'm going to go into a new buyer checklist or the buyer drip campaign assets, and I'm like, okay, look at this buyer drip campaign grid that I've got here. You know, I've got an intro call. Have I sent a digital buyer guide? You know, those beautiful buyer guides we have here at EXIT. You've got Zenlist, one of the most powerful tools to get them into 10, 12, 15% more properties than anywhere else. You're going to connect with them on LinkedIn because you have RoomView that we pay for. So you've got a great presence on LinkedIn with RoomView. I want you to send at least one CMA a day. I love Cloud CMA. You can also do RPR, Realtors Property Resource. You can do Info Sparks. Again, RPR is such a huge thing. You should start sending them links to your testimonials. You can do a personal video. I love Dub for that. We can talk about that another day. I want you to start building relationships with these people because you have something to offer them, whether they're a buyer or a seller. But my point in bringing up even open houses is every time I do an activity, whether it's buyer related, seller related, it's never perfect. But it is an activity that I get out there and I start working for people. I start showing my value. I am in front of new people and I am reconnecting with people that I already know. Have mets, haven't mets. We are simply not doing the work that we need to do as an industry to build relationships. And this little grid right here, the Expand Power Hour Tracker, will help you not only build relationships with your existing database, but it's going to take you into new relationships. And that's going to be my challenge to all of us for the year. If you have Wise Agent, which is one of the most powerful CRMs out there, you have all these assets around you, you have Zenlist, you have, quite frankly, the RPR and the MLS, which you all pay for just by being a realtor. You have the assets to build relationships, and we have some extra tools at EXIT Strategy and Project X. Why are we not banding together and masterminding and simply getting in a room virtually or in person and doing the work? What is the holdup? There is no more holdup. I am not taking any more excuses. I'm not taking any prisoners. We are going to do this together. So for today, we are going to dive a little bit deeper into the expired conversation, and I'm going to work with you on a specific property or two once we stop the recording. The rest of this will be in the Facebook group if you're catching this later. And if you are not an EXIT Strategy Realty agent, but are an agent somewhere else that would like to potentially grow and do more, we would love to have you join us. So you can ask your EXIT Strategy Realty agent how to get a hold of us and talk to us further. So we're going to stop the recording now, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some specifics on an expired or two. We're going to talk about how to get in contact with them.